Good up.
This is Channel 253. Beep, boop, boop.
On this episode of the Grit and Grain Podcast.
It's been a slow slog to get to it, but we're making progress. Nowhere near there yet by any means.
Right.
But you're seeing more people of color as consumers. You're seeing more people of color in the industry. Again, not there yet, not the percentages that you want to see.
Right.
But we are getting there.
Did you know Channel 253 is member supported? I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I hope you will show your support by going to channel253.com/membership and join. Thank you.
Welcome to the Grit and Grain Podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grit and Grain Podcast, coming to you guys from Peaks and Pints. Yay! If you've been paying attention, you might know that we've moved locations. If not, we've moved locations. But same rule applies. If you're free on a Wednesday afternoon and you want to come and have a beer, please do so. Thank you guys for hanging out. My name is Matt McLaren, here of course with Ron Swarner.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am ready to rock today.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, that's, man, just one of many. This is going to be a good hour.
Very
For sure.
Bethany's out of town this week. However, Phaedra is on mic.
Hello. Good.
And Doug. What's up, Doug?
I'm producer Doug. Hello.
Hello. Right. Got you off the top this time.
Yeah, thanks. If it sounds bad, it's my fault. If it sounds good, then you know.
Then it's still your fault.
It's still my fault.
Yeah. This is going to be a great episode. Ron and I have actually talked about this one a couple of times, and for some reason are just now making it happen. But I'm very excited. Ron, who are we talking to today, man?
We are talking to Larry Rock from Reuben's Brews.
And everywhere else.
Woo! Yes.
Right?
Yeah, this is true. Thank you all.
Hi, Larry.
Appreciate you having me. This is a blast.
Right
on. When you hit me up, I said, "Oh, absolutely." Not even a second of hesitation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice of you to say.
Before we dive into all your beer history, there's a couple things I want to talk about.
Like what you're drinking?
Yes. So what I'm drinking is the 2023 JABF silver medal winning Reuben's Robust Porter.
This is true. This is true.
And
highly
Larry, I
recommend
think it was one of the 5 original beers on tap when they opened in 2012, right?
It was, I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah. I was there right before they opened and went through the lineup and was blown away by the quality on all batches number 1. So that was kind of a foreshadowing of what was to come. So yeah.
Well,
it's great.
also crazy was they had the Reuben beer on.
Yes.
As one of the
man,
5.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dang. That's. Can you explain that to people, or one of you guys?
Well,
people
so
who know?
imagine a Dunkelweizen, but rye instead of wheat.
But with a ton of rye.
Yeah, all the rye.
Yeah, and Bavarian yeast, so it's just a really great flavor, really food friendly, and that's what we kind of strive for in a lot of the beers. You know, we brew a ton of great IPAs, both West Coast and hazy, but when you're looking at some beer styles, you want to accent the food aspect of those, and Reuben beer definitely falls into that category.
Nice.
Yep.
I have a Deep Draft over in Gorst, just south of Bremerton, makes a fantastic Roggen or Rogan beer, and it's delicious. And I wish more people honestly made it because it is food friendly.
Yes.
And it is like a way more drinkable beer than you would think.
Yes,
and it's
no
interesting to hear that like such a fantastic new brewery was like this is going to be one of our 5 fingers for our opening.
Oh yeah. That's what kind of drew me when I first tasted the beers, and it was different than what you were seeing at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's still the case. So,
Brewed by Englishmen.
yes.
Yeah, see, was the Goza
And his brother-in-law. You got to give Mike Pfeiffer some love too.
was the Goza part of the original 5?
No.
That's crazy to me. Because that was to me, that was Reuben's really big kind of break.
Well, that was because I was with. It might even been before Reuben's joined distribution when I was at Click.
Yep.
But I know, the medals, that's where they started to get medals at JBF.
2 back-to-back goals.
Was with that beer,
in that category.
I don't think Crikey was out until 2014, right? couple years later.
I think you're right.
Because it was their triple first, and then they
Yes.
they
think
made
you're
it
right.
smaller.
I think you're right.
This is like a funny bit of trivia, but Reuben, so like unconfirmed, mostly like observation of like a beer industry trend. But so Reuben's won back-to-back golds at GABF for the Goza.
Yeah.
And the year after that happened, the year that happened or after that happened, after the second gold, Goza was removed from the historical category in the BJCP guidelines and actually put into like the contemporary beer category for the first time like ever. It had always been a historical category beer with like Lichtenheine and things like that, like beers that most people have never heard of. And there is no way that Reuben's like success with that beer wasn't a part of that, because it became one of the most like sought after local beers, but also one of the most like exciting new styles that breweries were trying. It was a crazy trend after you guys started like crushing the competition with this.
You know, and honestly, who else I'll give credit for promoting that style is Fal Allen down in Anderson Valley. Fal's a good friend of mine. Too. And Fal was on that style early.
Yep.
So you got to give credit where credit's due, and you can't give credit to a better guy than Fal. So.
Sure.
So I'll definitely throw him into that loop too.
Speaking of styles, which do you prefer, funk or jazz?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kid? You're right. I mean, I like funk, jazz. I mean, I'm grew up when classic rock was just called rock. So I mean, I like a bunch of different styles. I listen to a lot of Latin music coming out of Cuba is a lot of my influence because I play percussion. Mm-hmm. But you can incorporate that into playing funk and playing. You got country music bands that have congas in the band now, so that's really progressed. So I like a little bit of everything, but it basically be funk. Cuban salsa, classic rock. I mean, Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin.
Sure. That Rumors album.
Curtis Mayfield, as far as R&B. I mean, my tastes are pretty broad.
Ron could do an hour on this.
I know he could. Yeah, we don't want to burn him. So could I.
But are you still playing with Planet Fly?
Yeah. Okay. We normally just take the winter off because our guitar player lives in Mexico during the winter, so we normally chill. And then I sub in with the band. I sub in every once in a while with a band called Reposado, which does like Latin funk, and they're really popular in the Seattle area.
Nice.
Killer band, killer musicians.
Respect the tequila
And so
reference.
I'll sit in with them when my buddy Arturo Rodriguez can't make a gig, then they'll sometimes call me to sit in or one of the other local percussionists.
Cool.
So yeah.
And my other question is, what the hell is Alabama white barbecue sauce?
Okay.
Okay.
You got a great memory. These must have been conversations over beer. Actually, it's something I saw on a barbecue special, and it's Big Bob Gibson's down in Alabama, I think, is the originator of it. But it's a mayonnaise-based barbecue sauce that you don't cook it. And I kind of doctor it up and add some different things. I'll add a little bit of curry, a little bit of jerk, and kind of make it its own. But it's
Say more things like that.
Wait.
it's good on anything.
How is that actually barbecue sauce? I mean,
this is a huge debate.
I was born in Kansas City, so
Yeah.
my world of barbecue is
All right,
different.
we can debate this for
I'm not going to debate it. I'm just
You guys thought this was going to be a beer podcast.
asking the question.
No, you don't put it on during the cooking process. This is an after.
It's a dip.
But
It's like a
I'm
dip.
telling you,
So it's like ranch, is what you're saying.
more complex than ranch.
It's better than ranch because ranch sucks.
But you have to taste it on the barbecue because the smoke flavor and that, it depends on how you make it. Some of
Okay.
it is made a little more ordinary than maybe I'd make it. I add some international influence to it and dress it up a little bit. But beef, fish, chicken, pork, whatever, it goes. People put it on rice. I brought some when I was at Click. We did a potluck and I brought some. One of the oldest was saying, dude, you got to bottle this and sell it. And Click, it was a group of foodies. I mean, Mike Basold was down there. It's a group of foodies. So to hear that from them, like, okay, we're on the right track.
I'll give it a whirl. I'll
Give it
try
a whirl.
Yeah.
Next time I make a batch, I'll drop some
Please
off
do.
here.
I would
will.
love that.
It's delicious.
Great question.
What's the best beer to pair with barbecue?
Oh man, it can vary.
Yeah.
It can be porter, it can be red, it can be hef. It
I was
can,
saying,
it can be
what am I
Roggenbeer. I know, it could be a dark
Cold
beer. I
beer.
mean, to me, a Munich dark would be ideal.
Yeah.
If it's pork or beef, with chicken, you can go anything. You can go Hefeweizen, you can go alt beer, you know. And that's something that I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I think the industry needs to circle back to the food aspect of it. We lost our way a little bit
Fucking
with IPAs being
Larry.
so dominant.
Yeah.
Now you got to kind of swing it back so people, you know, because you're looking at cocktails and wine and how can we fit beer into these categories? That's how, is by accenting the food aspect.
Dude, I totally agree with this. And I talk about this shit all the time.
Yeah.
And so when Seattle Beer School ladies were on, we talked about this, about beer being much more than liquid. Beer is much more about the experience than it is the liquid, you know? Which is why some people say their favorite beer is like the Bud Light that their grandpa shared with them on the boat when they were fishing for the first time. Like that's, it's much more about the experience for a lot of people. And if you approach brewing that way, and then you approach, things like events, like having the extra sort of like engaging or captivating thing in an event, like, finding the right food to go with the right beer, makes such a difference in people's drinking experience. And like it's a way to create customers for life.
That's exactly it.
A free T-shirt or a hat can only go so far, but if you really change the way people look at how they choose their beer when they're ordering food, that can change everything.
You must have been listening in on a half a dozen of my conversations with people. Because that's exactly what
I think we just vibe, Larry.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you would know, you've been in the business for 35 years, right?
Yeah. I started latter part of '88. And
the year I was born.
Still okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
It's my boom. It's my birthday this week.
I'm gonna take a knee.
You kids. I mean, I started out home brewing with my buddy Mike Sutherland, who owns White Bluffs Brewing over in Richland, and we started out home brewing back in probably 83, right in there. Okay. And our first batch tasted like beer, so we kept going. We kept making
perfect gauge.
Yeah, I mean, it tasted great. So
didn't taste like burnt matchsticks.
No, we actually got it right.
Perfect.
And from there, just kind of, I love doing it. Still to this day, I still love brewing. Yep. I like selling too. I mean, I like all ends of the industry.
So tell us how you met Charles Finkel and the first brewer at Pike.
I was, and I was an insurance agent at the time, and hopefully none of my old bosses are listening, but I beeline at home to see how my fermentation was going on my home brew. Like, I got to get back home, just check this for a minute, fiddle around a little bit, like, I might want to find a job doing this. So one guy that helped me out a lot was a good buddy of mine who's in Victoria, BC, and his name's Jerry Heater. And Jerry helped found a couple breweries up in BC. He's been in the industry a long time, probably a similar timing as me. But he helped found Whistler Brewing. He helped found Lighthouse Brewing in Victoria. He helped build Shafterbury Brewing, previous to them being bought. And he got me an interview with Paul Hadfield from Spinnaker's, and also he somehow got me connected with Charles Finkel to get an interview with Charles. And that was great. I mean, it was an honor to start out. I mean, I was slated to be the original brewer at Pike. And I was running the Western homebrew shop under a nicest guy I'll ever meet called John Farias. And he was actually one of the original partners in Pike. And so I was running the homebrew shop before the brewery opened, but I'd also applied for the job through the Spinnakers Corporation with Paul Hadfield up in Victoria, and the Noggins BrewPubs were opening down in Seattle. So I worked the homebrew shop for I think it was about 4 months, and then got the call from Noggins. They were saying, hey, we need a brewer like Monday. So, excuse my language, the shittiest thing I've ever had to do was give Charles Finkel like a weekend's notice. And to this day, I feel bad about that 35 years later, but Charles has done okay for himself, so I think he made it all right.
Was Noggins in Westlake?
Yeah, okay. Westlake and the U District.
Oh.
And I brewed at the Westlake. I brewed at both, but mainly Westlake.
I remember Noggins.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I was there 88 until... It was about a year and a half.
Because you weren't born.
Yeah, it was about a year and a half. And from there, I went to George. Met George Hancock while working at Noggins. He was just scoping out the scene because he wanted to open a brewery or brew pub. So he talked me out of sticking at Noggins, and we started Maritime.
So another first brewer experience.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
How was
that
it
was work, man. That was work. Because we built the brewery, and man, it was work, but it was rewarding.
Were you still there when the Jolly came out?
No.
Okay.
No, the 3 beers I did were Flagship Red was the first one, then Navigator Dark, which to this day, the first batch of that beer, I still think is the best batch of beer I've ever brewed out of, I don't know, how many, 300 batches or whatever.
Man.
And then the Clipper Gold, the wheat. I've always liked wheat beer, and everything had a little bit of a wheat component to it, similar to what Reuben's did with rye.
Yeah.
We were kind of doing with wheat back then. Because I brewed, I think, when I was at Noggins, I probably brewed either the second or third Hefeweizen in the region. Because I tasted Widmer Hef at the first Oregon Brew Fest. Mm-hmm. And I went back and said, I got to brew something like this.
Wow.
When I started brewing at Noggins. And people thought I'd made an error on the beer because it was cloudy. And they're like, did you F it up? No, this is how it's supposed to be.
You're like,
it ended up being one of the
me.
better sellers way back then. So that was fun.
People don't know how influential Widmer Hef was early. Alex Gannam from Upright talks about this quite a bit as like it being probably one of the most underappreciated beers like in the Northwest.
The first hazy.
It will
be clear by today's standards. But
exactly.
But also a good gateway beer, like that.
For so many brewers who now make beer that people fawn for, Widmer Hef was their shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was back then.
And really helped the lemon industry too.
Oh, no doubt. You know that. Definitely.
And then you met Mike Hale?
Yeah, I worked for George for about a year and a half, and then moved on to work for Mike. And I had known Mike, so I approached him coming to work for him, and I was there almost 12 years. I started out brewing, and then, he kind of saw that I knew all the pub owners in town by either selling them beer through Maritime or just going to hang out, which, you might see me at a bar every now and again now, even if it's not my job. But yeah, then I met Mike and started brewing and selling there and was there for about 11 and a half years. My wife came on board at Hale's, I think about 4 years after I started. She ended up staying 27 years.
Wow.
So yeah.
Did your son Preston ever work there?
Yeah, Preston worked on the bottling line at that time. And then I think after that he went to work for Reuben's, then for craft canning. Yeah. Then he's been at Georgetown now for going on 3 years, I believe he's brewing there. And shout out to those guys.
Yeah. I know. I was talking to Michael Dempster from Mirage, and I know Preston's helped him out quite a bit.
Yeah, he was doing some of the canning and stuff and helping him along, so that the beer could effectively get into cans.
That's kind of important.
Yeah. So the cool thing is our whole family is in the industry. My youngest son, Galen, is front of the house at Elliott Bay Brewing in West Seattle, and my wife Brenda is at Northwest Beverage. So we're all in the industry. Nice. So
that's a beautiful legacy, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So did you brew Super Goose?
I didn't. Okay. I was in strictly sales by that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I did one recipe I'm really proud of at Hale's, because I brewed a lot of different variations on porter back then too, and we did one called Southbound Winter Porter that did pretty well, and I thought that was a fun beer. I was really happy with that one. But I throw my 2 cents in at Hale's and tell them what I think. And I think the Reuben's crew, they'll be listening to this. I think they're saying, yeah, you tend to do that.
Hey, I mean, you're the one who's got to sell it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So how did you transition to sales from brewing?
Well, I was an insurance agent, so I was used to selling.
Right.
So a lot of brewers, that's not their thing. They're used to producing. Mm-hmm. Some can do both. A lot can't, because they're so kind of task driven and science driven and things like that. A lot of guys are amicable like that and can get out and do it.
Yeah.
But I was able to do both just because at that time, how I was able to kind of reach out to a lot of the pubs was Vince Catoni came out with the Northwest Guide to pubs or something, to craft beer, and it listed all the breweries, all the pubs, and so I used that as a guide and just went around and to hit as many as we could, because it's like people still do today. You're going around searching out different beers and seeing who has what, and so that's how I ended up kind of going into sales, and I still do, collab brewing and am able to construct recipes, but I've always kind of had an affinity for both sides of it.
Nice.
And you eventually went on to Click Distributing.
Yeah.
So you went in.
Yeah. I was with Hale's for 11 and a half, then went to Click because one of the owners, Rick Steckler, we grew up in the same neighborhood in the Mount Baker area of Seattle. Wow. And I grew up with his older brother. We were in classes together and stuff. And when I saw what they were doing, they were about 4 months in, and I saw a good buddy of mine who's still at Northwest, Matt Younce, was working there. And I'm like, I can get in on this thing early and kind of build my own route. Yeah. And it just kind of became a natural evolution. And it was fun at Click because I was able to actually help construct the beer book there, unbeknownst that that's what I'd be doing. But it just kind of became natural that I knew a lot of brewers and kind of knew good beer when I tasted it, and got a lot of good breweries into the Click book.
That's a huge, I imagine there's a lot of stuff in the industry where people see the stuff on the shelf and they don't always know how it gets there. Yeah. And there's like some kind of how the sausage is made type stuff. And usually if you're a consumer, you having access to like a fresh, new, high quality beer is a lot of people taking a lot of risks on something that people aren't sure of. So
exactly.
When you're you and you're at this kind of like new, relatively small startup distributor who's competing against fucking giants back then, right? Yeah. Coors Light House, Budweiser House, Pabst Blue Ribbon House. Yep. You have all these different kind of Goliaths that you're facing off against, and you're like, all right, how do I compete here? How do I do this? Okay, I need to find the people who are doing the best work that I know of. Like, try a beer. Damn, this is so good that when somebody tries this, they're going to buy it again when they see it. And that's a risk because taste is subjective, and it's really difficult on our side to know exactly what makes a beer worth buying a second time. Exactly. And you have to know that. And so that's like, you're credited, you should be credited with giving a lot of people access to a lot of very good beer these days.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean,
because the list is long, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like drudgery. It was all fun work.
For sure. I don't mean to complain. Oh man, this sucks. They pay me to go around and taste all this beer.
My buddy's
this is really hard.
I'm like, I gotta go to work today. I got a tasting. Like, poor baby.
What were some of the fun breweries that you were involved with?
Oh man. Well, I'll kind of give you a backstory on the first one. When we were going through birthing class with Preston, our oldest, we had some people we met in that class, and they just had a friend of theirs come into town. I think he was coming from Minnesota. Guy, not a lot of people may know Dick Cantwell.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So Dick came into town, and I, started working. I was at Noggins at that time, because I was at Noggins when Preston was born. And so Dick came in with some of his homebrew, and the first one I tasted from him was a Dortmunder, which became Loki Lager from Elysian. But
wow,
I was, he said, hey, I let him, that system was the first commercial system Dick ever brewed on. So I was like, well, hey, I'm going to lobby to hire an assistant. But he ended up getting, he
got a better
I'm a really
gig.
good talent scout.
Hey, Dick, do you want to wash my kegs on the weekends, man?
So he ended up getting a gig, though, as a head brewer. And I said, okay, no problem, I understand. If that doesn't work out, come back to me. Well, we all know how that turned out.
Kind of worked out.
Yeah. So the first one that we got into, because even with Dave Bueller, I knew Dave before either one of us was even in the industry, just playing hoop out at Family Fitness back in the, I'm going to say like 82, 83, right in there. So in knowing those guys, and they were with another, like one of the big guys you talk about, we started talking, and they moved over to Click from a big distributor, and we helped build them. Then later we had to try to talk them out of moving over to another distributor, but I think they came out of that pretty good financially. Seriously. But they were good guys to work with, but Elysian, and I don't want to miss anybody. Chuckanut, let's see, pFriem, Breakside.
Yep.
There's so many that
some of the heaviest hitters, heaviest hitters in this industry, all signed with their first like kind of small distributor because of your experience.
One that I was particularly fond of was, I think they were Laughing Buddha, but then changed their name to Trade Route. And again, this was early on. They were one of the first minority-owned breweries in the state. Might have been the one. And the Pandan Brown Ale was what got us looped in to bringing them in. And then they went through a couple iterations and different brewery names and whatnot. But that was a cool one, just building a really small startup and getting them off the ground. That was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm leaving a lot out. I don't mean to do that in case anybody gets offended.
Larry knows everybody, basically.
It's perfect time for a break, actually.
Oh my
Hang
gosh.
out with us. We'll be right back.
Hello. This is Eric Hanberg of Channel 253 here with sound producer Doug.
Hi.
Hi, we are here to tell you about membership to Channel 253, and we're talking really fast because we know you want to get back to the podcast.
That's exactly right. You get to be on the members Slack channel, which is really banging, and you get to listen to the members-only podcast Off the Record, hosted by me.
That's right. It's just $4 a month or $40 a year. Channel253.com/membership. Thank you for listening. I hope you'll consider joining. Please check it out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out during the break. Super quick shout out to Doug, our wonderful producer.
Yay, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. We love you. You're amazing. And also to Channel 253. Please do support Channel 253. It is amazing. You heard about it on the break, but it's fantastic, and it is all user supported, subscriber supported. So please do go support them. It's fantastic, and it's a great way to stay connected to Tacoma. We're back, and we have fresh beer in front of our faces. Ron, what are we drinking here, man?
We're drinking bourbon barrel aged AleSmith Old Numbskull barley wine.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Was that smooth?
Yep.
Dangerously smooth.
Cheers.
And you didn't hear it during the break, but we made a toast to Sean.
We did do toast to
Toast
Sean.
to Sean.
This is our
Cheers.
barley wine
Sean.
for the episode. We love you, Sean, and
You
we're
old-
happy that you're happy down at E9.
The old numbskull you.
This beer is
good.
incredible.
That is.
Like,
Delicious.
I remember trying to trade people for this beer back in the day. I got 4 6-packs of Reuben's Goza. All right. Can I get 1 bottle of Numbskull? Dude, it was trade fodder for a minute after the second gold.
No doubt.
There was
no doubt.
people all over like, hey, I got to try this fucking beer.
Yeah.
Does anybody want a bottle of Assassin?
There you go.
And that was just like, all of us on like the trade circles were like, holy shit, how is this pulling stuff? But people just wanted to try it. It was just Reuben's
No
at the
doubt.
time.
No doubt.
There's another old beer out there. Let's talk about Dopplerock.
Okay.
Like the name.
But let's just be clear. I did not name it. But this was a collab that I did when I was with Click. Adam, we've been talking about. And I don't think they'd ever done a collab with just an individual, usually with another brewery. And so we did just a regular Wolfsburg Doppelbock batch. And then gave it a test run, and that went over really well. So we then did another full batch and put it in rum barrels.
Oh, man.
And I tell you what, just as a teaser out there are still some kegs, and I believe this was 2018. I've sent a couple of them out to a couple of places for functions. That beer is tasting every bit as good as it did when we released it.
Jeez.
And it softened a lot of the components. The rum is just right in play. You taste a little bit of it, but it's just really smooth, really balanced. We still have a little bit left, so I'm working on getting that to people as I can.
So the collab was just you, like
Yeah, and myself and some of the brewers.
We're gonna collab with Larry because Larry's
I
amazing.
kind of helped. I didn't. You said that.
I did, and I meant it. I meant it. Absolutely. That's so cool.
Let's just be clear.
I love it. We are in the presence of beer royalty right here, guys.
I'm just a guy that's hung around long enough.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So we did that, and it was a tap room release, and bottled up some cases, and I think there's still a few of those around, but we still have some kegs, and we'll be, metering those out if I do a tap takeover, then maybe we get people one or something like that. So
what does Ron have to do to get one of those kegs at the Doppelrock?
Nothing.
Because basically, I just want to drink it.
We'll see what we can do, definitely.
I love you, favorite.
Doing this podcast has come a long way as far as Ron has to earn his way to something like that.
Turns out the price is one podcast appearance.
Yeah, that's all. I can be
Crazy how it works.
Sweet.
But no, that's something that we have some vintage beers that we're definitely looking to get out into people's mouths. So that'll be one of them.
I love it.
Man.
Awesome.
Also, the 2003 Sierra Nevada celebration just arrived. On tap.
It's celebration
2000
time.
what?
This year.
This year,
Yeah.
just got. What did it just literally roll off the truck today?
It came in this week,
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite beers of all time. I mean, this was, they accented fresh hops, but a lot of people, and I'm going to create my own topic here just for a second.
Please.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day, goes, Sierra kind of were the ones that spearheaded fresh hop, and I have to let people know that it was Mike Hale driving a van over to Yakima, now it wasn't unkilned hops, it was baled hops back then, but it would be the first runs off it, and I've been in the truck bringing those back. So I can attest to the fact that Hale's probably even preceded Sierra in doing fresh hop beers, and they were the first. The O'Brien's Harvest was something that people look forward to every year. Nice. So that's something you've got to look historically and give Mike Hale a shout out for that, because that was a precursor to what you see now.
Which is just heinous now.
Yeah, right.
It's
so we can blame Mike for all of this.
And it was the same way back then. What do you mean? I want my harvest ale.
My harvest ale.
Dude, okay, all right, I got you.
Yeah. Talk to you in 6 weeks.
Wow. So from Click, you went to Northwest Beverages.
Well, that was a
couple
merger.
Years.
Yeah.
And then to Reuben's.
Yeah, Reuben's. I've been with Reuben's. In this capacity, it was 3 years April, so close to 3.5. Mm-hmm. And it's I've been integrally involved with the brewery from the onset, but now representing Reuben's solely, it's been a blast. Really. I have to curtail my own at-home drinking because the beer is so good. Most beer I've ever drank at home. I've had to dial it back just a little bit, but no, it's been a blast, and I tell people I love every gig I've had in this industry, and this one it's my favorite gig. Good brewery to work for, great people, great coworkers, but above all, great beer.
Dude, seriously, it's just nonstop.
So many medals.
Consistency.
That's the thing. Every style may not be your favorite, but the quality is going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to their words page, you're scrolling.
Yeah. And what's cool at JBF, everybody's sweating. I mean, to come home with something, and because I've been there a couple years in a row, I was able to actually go up on stage for Reuben's. Year before last, when Three Risemen, it came down to the last 2 or 3 categories. We're like, oh man, come on, and boom, got that one. This year, same thing with the porter.
Yep.
It was like, come on, don't be a shut, and boom, silver medal for porter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not everybody wins a medal. I mean, most breweries don't. So
most breweries don't.
That's a cool thing.
Because there's 19 of you that keep winning all of them.
Hey, man.
And they're all the ones you launched.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, pFriem, Breakside, Chuckanut, Reuben. It sounds like all the breweries that Larry knew about before everybody went fucking everything.
I will cop to that. Yes. But I'll tell you the one where was when we, the first time, I'll tell you how we landed pFriem in the Click portfolio. I'd known Josh Pfriem from his time at Chuckanut. And that was about, when he was there was when we were, Chuckanut started to send beer to Click. And my wife and I were going on vacation to Bend and I had never known Josh's last name. I just knew him as Josh from Chuckanut. So I'm talking to Don Webb, who was Naked City. Now he's at Old Stove. He goes, hey, you're going there. You ought to stop at Pfriem Family Brewers. I go, I've heard about this. Who is it? I goes, Josh Pfriem. I go, he goes from Chuckanut. I go, oh, I never knew his last name. So we stopped in there. It was like a day or two before they were going to open. Maybe even been a week. So I bang on the door and Josh says, hey, come on in. So I started tasting beer. It was basically the same conversation I had with Adam Robbins. Like, dude, whenever you're ready, call me. And I was on vacation. As soon as we pull out of there, I'm on my phone, Steckler. I'm on vacation. You have got to talk to these guys. And it was probably about 8 months later, I had to keep pushing it, and we got them into the portfolio. And it's similar story with Breakside. I went to the Deckham, their first original small, like 3-barrel brew pub. It said, dude, whenever you're ready. And with Pfriem, it was the same thing, just boom, just blew up. And
out the gate, just producing stuff. That
just the quality was just incredible. Still is.
Yeah.
So,
Breakside's killing it with the fresh hops, man.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, again, Ben Edmonds, there's so many good birds. I mean, same thing with Gigantic. Talking to Ben Love on a ride with when he worked for his previous employer. He goes, hey, just letting you know we're starting our own thing. Dude, talk to us. So, I mean, there's been a lot. And I hate to mention them because I'm going to leave somebody out, but you get the idea. It's just all about you spot somebody that's just kicking out world-class beer, and you want to be involved with them. You want to represent them. So that's what we were all about at Click. And I'm still to this day, that's one of the proudest jobs I've ever had, the way that we were architects on building a beer portfolio. We didn't just bring anybody in, but it was architecturally done to create some nuance and
speak my fucking language.
And to look ahead and see what you
day.
know is gonna sell and the public's gonna react positively to.
Dude, it's like there's a lot of industry news going on, breweries closing, or not closing. I don't fucking.
But there's more opening.
There's more opening.
And
honestly, so like your approach when you're at Click, right, this small distributor, your approach to prioritizing quality over everything, I think is so fucking important, because there's a lot of breweries who just didn't focus on that from the get-go. It was marketing, or it was successful salespeople, or it was sponsorships for fucking NASCAR, or whatever it is.
Some sort of gimmick or whatever.
You kind of overlook all of this stuff, and then you're walking into Pfriem or to Breakside or to Chuckanut going, Jesus, this beer, like drinking this beer makes me feel so good. It's the actual experience is so good. There's no way that this won't resonate with people at the end of the day. Like,
exactly.
I don't care how your marketing is. I don't care what this is or what that is. As long as your beer quality is there, then I know people will choose your stuff. And you built a whole portfolio out of that. And that's like,
and it's people choosing it, but it's also, you have reps. You have to have reps that are 100% driven and behind the beer. You can bring a beer in, and if the reps aren't into it, you're going to struggle unless you just got a rock star brewery sales rep just going out, leading them by the nose and saying, okay, sell this, ship a keg to this place, ship a keg here. So
we just, I guess, for more how the sausage is made type stuff. We're a small distributor, just like Click kind of was back then.
Oh, you are.
And it's not super different. We make that comparison quite often. We almost never sign a brewery unless every single sales rep tries it and says, "Okay, this is something I trust to recommend to my accounts."
And that was kind of when it was a small group of us at Click, and it would be some guys that are still at Northwest to this day that are just real professional, heavy hitter sales reps. We'd all go on a trip. I mean, we did Hood River, and we did Double Mountain. And
we did, Larry. I was there.
That's right.
That was the greatest weekend of my life.
Hey, Double Mountain throws a party. But at that time, we were courting both Pfriem and Double Mountain, and we'd all go, and it would be there. You couldn't get everyone involved, but the key people who you could trust on their opinions. And I made sure that I was right on all of them. I can honestly say I don't think I made any mistakes on referring breweries.
It wouldn't appear so.
Yeah. And ones
Rock
that
solid.
maybe didn't get, or I would refer to other distributors, say, hey, you guys should talk to these guys and pick them up. Because you want, I've always been one where, that's why doing something like this, just sitting around talking about beer, this is how the industry was built. And it's not just about, we are going to talk a lot about Reuben's, but it's as important for the industry to be strong as it is for the individual components of the industry.
Word.
For sure. Yeah. Are there any new breweries popping up that like let's say you were still at Click doing your thing, but today, can you think of any breweries right now that you'd be like, hey, like we should talk?
In August, of course, when I take a week off on vacation, what do?
Go to breweries.
Go hit breweries. Yep. And my wife and I, Brenda and I, went up to Bellingham, and we were going to go hit a few places. Because, I like other lands. I like structures. Again, I don't want to leave anybody out. But we were going up there primarily to El Sueñito.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And, the beers on point. The food, free lard tamales, they have a great component going with that. And even look, we didn't do the cocktails because we were anticipating going to other breweries. Didn't hit another one except
Damn. That's an endorsement. That's an endorsement.
But what I saw with them, being, Hispanic and gay owned, it again gives you diversity. But I could have sworn they'd been in business 2 years by how they were executing every phase of the operation. The beer, the food, hell, the cocktails. Yeah. They're doing their own horchata and putting rum or mezcal, and I'm like, dude, that's on point.
Larry, say the name again.
Yes, please.
El Sueñito.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think they're about probably 8 months now. But anybody who's listening, go check and hit the other places too. But check this place out. I was so impressed, and we did the same thing probably 3 years back, and went to Garden Path.
Oh, yeah.
And I had never had their
Shout outs to the other Ron.
I'm not the type, I could drink sours as part of a beer dinner or as an accompaniment for food. Mm-hmm. I could have sat there and drank their beer all day. But again, we were heading up to Bellingham, and we did hit other places this time. But they're always one that I've always had a high regard for with the quality of what they're doing.
Yeah. So the diversity call out is good because we were talking a little bit before about how you've kind of been, you end up being the person that a lot of people, approach for comment on the diversity in the industry. Yeah. And I don't what take do you have when you get that question? Because I know you get it a lot. Like, what's the state of diversity in the?
It's ongoing. One thing that I did, and I'll kind of bounce back and forth on the timeline. Because when I started, there wasn't a lot of minority involvement. There were a few guys nationally. I think Garrett Oliver may have started a little bit after I did. Or maybe even the same time. I'm not sure.
Perfectly appropriate.
But that's one guy who I always looked at and said, okay, this brother can do it.
I was first.
I'm good.
Where's your hat, Larry?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry. It's a Seahawks cap normally if I'm wearing it. But when I started, I never got into it to create diversity. I got into it because I love beer. But then as you're in the industry and you're going around the restaurants and pubs and you're looking around, especially when I got into the sales end, I'd notice, I'm like, hey, let's see some people of color, because there is a sense, and we can talk real. When you're sitting in a bar and you don't see other people representative of your culture, there is a sense of loneliness. Like, okay, where's everybody at? And it's all good. You're sitting around drinking beer and it's all good. But you do like to see that there's other people that share the interest. And how some of my family, my cousins, everybody got into beer was me bringing homebrew to Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and getting more people in. And it's been a slow slog to get to it, but we're making progress. Nowhere near there yet by any means.
Right.
But you're seeing more people of color as consumers. You're seeing more people of color in the industry. Again, not there yet, not the percentages that you want to see.
Right.
But we are getting there. And again, I'd shout out Metier. During, the 2020, when there was a lot of racial strife and things, I talked to Adam and Grace Robbins and said, can we do something? I mean, craft breweries weren't making a stand. Some were, most weren't. And I said, we've got to say something and do something if we're serious about, wanting there to be balance in this country and within the industry.
Right.
So, we got with Rodney Hines and at that time Drew Dillingham from Metier, because I had gone out and talked to them probably a couple months after they opened, because I had just heard about them. And they're the only, for those that don't know, they're the only black-owned brewery in the state. And I went out and talked to them and
honestly.
ended up doing a collab brew with them I took a week off, and of course,
Here he
on
is.
one of my days of vacation, I went out
Mr.
and brewed beer.
Rockstar himself. Collab brewing everywhere.
I just like beer. And it's I'm not working while I'm doing it, but I went out and brewed a batch, and we started talking, and I said, let's maybe do something with Metier. So now there's a foundation called Mosaic State. And it's something that Reuben's and Metier, and there's a bunch of other breweries involved, and wineries, and Boona Coffee, and a bunch of places.
That's so awesome.
And it's basically more about getting people of color into craft, whether it's beer, whether it's cider. We had one, like I'm one of the mentors in the foundation. We had one guy who wanted to do his own kombucha. Another guy wanted to start his own tap room. So it's kind of all encompassing, and we've got the Foster School of Business at the UW involved. And you've got malt suppliers and hop suppliers that will donate ingredients. So what we do with the Mosaic, we'll do we're going to do a charity Grata Tuesday, which is Reuben's does a charity fundraiser every Tuesday, and I know Mosaic State will be part of that in the next week or two. But we'll also do a collab beer that we did that first year called On Belly. And we did it as an IPA. We're going to maybe look at if we're going to keep that style, but it'll
Roggen beer.
I mean, we did IPA. We also did another one with the people that were in the first mentee class that was a chicory stout called Lily of the Nile.
What?
Whoa, cool.
And a lot of them, like one young lady who's part of it, she's now part of diversity training at the UW, but also is looking into getting into the cider business.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
it's not just about getting people into beer, but into craft, into whether it be food or whatever.
Yeah.
It's getting more people of color. And what I use as a template is Pink Boots.
Sure.
Pink Boots has done as good a job at fostering, gender equity as any foundation has done to help progress a cause. So we look at them and just say, let's try to do something similar to get people of color involved in not just beer, but in craft. And I'm even trying to get people of color more involved in the service aspect of the restaurant industry. People don't realize you can make a great living and you're not a servant.
Yeah.
You are serving, you're educating. And so that's a lot of my conversations with people. It doesn't matter if you come in as a brewer, as a sales rep, as an owner, as a manager. We're striving, like if there's someone that is in the industry and they want to be able to move up, they can take a course or two with the Foster School of Business with the UW, and that's part of the foundation aspect. So that's
so
what it's all
cool.
about. And we meet probably 3 times a year on the average, but we're constantly trying to get something done. And Grace Robbins has been just really good at helping foster this, and along with Rodney at Metier and other folks. I mean, there's been folk, Urban Family.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of cideries and distilleries are looking to foster this. So it's not just beer; it's a little bit of everything. But with that, you also create a customer base, because right now, when you're looking at the industry, we all want to create and broaden the customer base, period. This is a way to do that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's been ignored over the years.
Yep. Stop keeping the fucking gates closed and locked.
That's it.
So Ron did his GABF recap, and I mean, it was very much, you said, like, there's just no 20-somethings like walk into that place anymore. And it's not like this is like a end all be all solution for that, but like Larry said, on the break, if you diversify the actual industry, you will also diversify the customer base. And that is like we've talked about that here. And normally we are just like three white dudes doing a podcast.
Wait,
and Bethany.
Wait.
But yeah, that's like, I mean, that's a real thing, and it's a reality that I think a lot of people are maybe ignorant to, or just don't even consider. Like, turns out like when you have people who look like you doing this thing, you might just have more participation from a diverse consumer group.
Yeah, and that goes with your staff. I mean, I've talked at the Brewers Symposium out at the Puyallup Fairgrounds, and it's like, you have to be representative of the customers, not just that you have, but the customers you want.
Ooh, that's a that's some bars, Larry.
Jesus, that's real. That you have to do
bars.
that. And so that's one thing and that's why I want more people of color to become involved in front of the house, back of that. I mean, just become involved, and that way it just helps grow everybody's involvement in this industry.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be calling you about Tacoma Beer Week so we can get more eyes on what you're doing.
No problem.
No
problem. That'd be awesome.
There's no reason why we shouldn't be featuring your efforts.
Yeah, and even after I maybe retire from doing the beer thing, this will be something I'll stick with.
Nice.
I'll stick with the foundation even, if and when I hang it up. Who knows?
I'm sorry.
I enjoy it.
You're not allowed to
And
retire,
I know the folks at
Larry.
Reuben's don't want to hear that. I'm going to shut that down. No, I told them, say, I got a good 2 years and I'm going to look at it. But no, I enjoy it. I love the industry. I mean, the people you meet, this table is evident of that. You meet great people, and I'm not looking at doing anything soon as far as
we're not going to let you.
Well, because aren't they opening a second tap room?
Yes. Damn, you're good, Ron.
That's going to have to be for part 2.
Yeah, and that's actually, we just, we're right on Fremont Avenue, and I don't want to give the address because I don't want to F it up, but we're right across, kitty corner across the street from Market Time Foods. So if you know Fremont Avenue, it's the 4400 block of Fremont Avenue. So you'll see it. I mean, you won't miss it. Big outdoors, and it's a relatively medium-sized indoor space, but the outdoor space is great. And we did just an employee gathering there Monday night, and we're going to start doing some soft openings, I think, in the next day or two.
Beautiful.
An industry function next Tuesday, but I think the doors will be open here. Yeah, come on down. And so
Larry
that'll be
said
fun.
we could come.
That'll be fun. And it's pretty cool because it's only maybe
That's our
a
first
mile.
t-shirt.
It's a mile and a half from the original tap room, but there's so much people in that neighborhood, and we think we'll bring people into the neighborhood and help a lot of other businesses on the street.
Beautiful.
So that's cool. That's fun.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Grit and Grainers, email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and suggestions how Larry Rock can funk up Reuben's beer names, such as Funkalicious, Crushadelic, Cool and the Three Wise Men, Earth, Wind, Fire, Bits and Bobs, Crush the Groove. Wait, that's already beer.
That's already a beer.
And of course, Bootsy.
That's hey man, that one I may take a run with. Yes, been a fan of Bootsy since 1972.
Me too, my friends. We read and drink everything we receive, and we try to respond as quickly as you can. If not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And please leave us a review. Also, check us out on channel 253, Douglas, and gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for episode notes, beer news, and that point where you think you're going a bit crazy and just can't take it anymore, and then you push just a little bit farther and break through and find yourself on the other side sort of chuckling softly and glancing behind you to see how it wasn't so bad after all, and you just got to lighten up and relax and realize it's just one giant fuzzy mad circus of kegs smashing your middle fingers. So pour some Reuben's BBIS and let it go. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. Straight up, radio-friendly rock can be lame, unimaginative fare. But Larry Rock is like having your entire extended family swarming you with good vibes at your surprise birthday party.
That's so true.
No such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma. No such thing as too much barley wine. Tune in next Friday for more sweet chatter. Cheers, my friends.
Cool,
Cheers.
man. Cool.
Nice.
Cheers.
Nicely done.
Awesome.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Good up.
Channel 253 is a member-supported podcast network. I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I'm asking you to become a member and show your support. Go to channel253.com/membership to join. Thank you. Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flounders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.